आप कुछ बोलिए एंड दिस फेलो टोल्ड मी कि आप किस तरह की मीडिया हो, सवाल पूछना नहीं आता। इस देश में इतने सैकड़ों लोगों में 10-20 लोग मर जाते हैं और इसका बात का बतंगड़ बनाते हैं आप। दिस वर इज वर्ड्स, shouted at me and something in me snapped that day, just snapped. I was frozen. I could not. The greatest shame in my life is that I could not confront him. Those were not the days when you would confront politicians. Because you see, we were doing programs for the state broadcaster called Doordarshan. And stories were sanitized and edited even before they went on air. So I went back and I said that somewhere I believe, I started writing a script when I went back. And I couldn't write it. Because script, you can't, some things you have to let the tape speak for itself. You have to let the visual speak, if you know what I mean. So I said I can't write a script, but I also wanted to avoid the pre-screening. There was always a pre-screening of the tape that went on, and I knew that if this soundbite goes, they will take it, edit it out. So I deviously went up to the 5th floor of the organization, chose to edit in the farthest editing suite. I remember the day Pranay was waiting downstairs in the 1st floor. And I used to be the guy with the first edits. That day I never came down. I waited and waited and waited. I was looking at my watch and people are coming up twice and they're saying, boss is asking, where is your story? I said, tell boss, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. I said, boss is furious, where's your story? I said, just, audio garbad ho gaya, ab bhi ho raha hai. And I gave it. I knew what happened. I knew that if I give the tape at the last minute, they have to rush with the tape. A tape used to go on a scooter to the BSNL office near where the Nico Hotel is, near Kaleva restaurant. So I measured in my mind the distance because I used to love Kaleva. I measured in my mind the distance. I said 25 minutes. If I give it after 3 minutes, they will just bung in the story into the edit. They will not check it. That's exactly what happened. My story went in without checking. And on that day, on Doordarshan, you saw the Food and Civil Supplies Minister abuse me in that manner. And I wrote very little script. I just put the whole soundbite. And it played, and there was a huge impact. Next day, I walked into Parliament like a hero. I stood out there. I said, "Kya story hai? My God, no, kya kiya hai?" I said, "Kya hua?" बोलते हल्ला हो रहा है. I said, हल्ला हो रहा है? बोलते राज्यसभा में हल्ला हुआ. Then somebody said, लोकसभा में हल्ला हो रहा है. I was like, my God, what have I done? And the minister had to stand up there and apologize. 3 months later, you got shuffled out of that ministry. And I stood outside and I felt a surge of pride and confidence come back. I said, this is it. There's no, this is it. This is it. This was around that time. And I said, one day I will have my own channel. I said, the rules will change in this country. Government cannot be the broadcaster. I asked myself that simple question at the age of 26, 27. I said, if a 45-second soundbite can make a minister apologize, imagine if the same people of India see something better, stronger, more questioning, if the narrative changes. What impact can this medium have? It was just incredible. But after that, I went through 3-4 years of professional frustration. I saw things not move. And I was about to quit this profession because I keep referring to Lutyens, Delhi. Somewhere, this system refuses to change. And I realized by 2002, 2003, there are only 2 options before me. So you are there with me, you know me. It was a long time. I said, there are only 2 or 3 options before a person like me. By the time I had turned 30, I said, either I have my own channel, I break out completely, or I leave Delhi, or I quit the profession. So there was an opportunity when I got for the first time to move to Mumbai. And they said, launch a business channel. I said, whatever, let me get out of this claustrophobic place. And please don't take it, I don't mean it with disrespect. But I don't feel any need to do journalism, to report on what other people say. Don't do journalism to become a reporter in that sense. When we did social anthropology, we used to study a document the British civil servants used to write called the Gazetteer of India, where every civil servant would go and say, Naugao village of Assam, there are 50 people, this is their average length, height, this is what they eat, this is what their complexion, and would send these reports back to the British so that they would understand the psychology of Indians better. That is the kind of reporting that happened in this country for 45 to 50 years. This week we broke Bofors with Chitra Subramaniam, took me back to my school days. But I realized I didn't want to be a Gazetteer of India. I wanted to break out. So we went out. They asked us to launch a business channel in the Times of India group. I deliberately coaxed them and moved them out of it. We got private investment. We got Reuters to invest 26%. We launched the first joint venture channel with an MNC company called Times Now. This is 2005, 2006. And there I was again. In the first few days of Times Now, I totally lost the plot. I didn't know what to do. I had worked so hard to launch the channel that on the first day of the channel, when everybody surrounded me and say, boss, now, channel is launched, now what should we do? I just sank. I didn't know what to tell them. I lost my confidence completely. And for 3-4 months, I didn't have an editorial meeting. I didn't know what to say, what to do. I wanted to be polite. I wanted to be nice. I wanted to be gracious. I thought being Mr. Nice Guy will make me popular. Well, I know now. And the channel just tanked completely. We got 5% viewership. I was confused. So at the age of 31, I was about to lose my job. And on one Sunday, very depressed, I got a phone call from my news editor. So I said, Bolo abhi. There was no energy left. So he said, story hai, batao kya hai story. He went through the list. I was counting how many weeks do I have this job now for, what am I going to do. And then the shame of coming back to Delhi and meeting the same people. They'll tell you, no, oh, you wanted to be an editor. Huh? And so he said that there is a story. And there's story hai, but a Hindi channel wali story hai. So I said, what is the story? And he said that there is a 5-year-old boy who has fallen into a well, open manhole. I said, Acha, tell me more. He said that, abhi Z News kar rahi hai aur koi, aap chhod dijiye usko. And again, I'll take you back in time. This was 2006. I take you back to 1996. I used to work under a wonderful news editor called Appan Menon. And Appan was the news editor of NDTV. One day Appan told me that outside a school in South Delhi, a child has fallen into a manhole. And Appan would sit in a cubicle outside Pranay's house, Pranay's room. And I went and asked Appan, what is the story? He said, this child has fallen into a borewell or no, outside a school. I said, but you want me to cover the story? I cover 30,000 court. This was in my view, this was lower than 30,000 court. It was what we called a local story. And Appan was horrified and he fought with me and he said, one day you will realize that the story of a child falling into a borewell that is supposed to be covered by the government is a bigger story than the multiple of all the stories that you want to do, Arnab. I disagreed with him. I didn't do the story. Now take me back 10 years. Appan died after 2 months after that. And the massive guilt I had in my mind, plus a sense of, I don't know, a gut feeling that maybe Appan was right. I went to the office, I drove myself and I brought everyone together and I started seeing the pictures. And the feed was coming in. I went back and forth on that tape. And I just saw the parents of the child standing alone outside. There was a borewell which was open. There was nobody to help them. And that day we decided to do the first time we did what we call interactivity on television. We split the screen for the first time. We asked the question for the first time. We opened the phone lines for the first time. And we asked a question. Will India save Prince? And the question was, is Prince's ordeal a symbol of government apathy? Because that was supposed to be covered by the government. I know that there will be journalists who will come and tell you great things about journalism and great theories. I disagree with all of them. There is no journalism if there is no heart. And that day, Prince evoked a sentiment in my heart. For 4 days, we did that story on Prince. 4 days non-stop. At the end of 4 days, everybody in India, was talking about Prince. His hand would move a little bit and everybody would say, Prince is alive. It's like the nation heaved a collective sigh of relief each time they felt Prince had not died. And in that boy's fight to survive, everybody saw a deep symbolism about what was happening in our country. Suddenly, the phone calls were flooding the office, people were calling, and we dropped every other story. We got consumed with the story ourselves completely. And by the end of the third day, I remember at night at about 10 o'clock, Jawan from the military engineer service, the prince was brought out. And we didn't know whether he was alive or dead. And he was wrapped up in cloth, and then he was just taken away for medical checkup. And there was frozen silence. There was no commentary going on at all in our newsroom. And we didn't know what to say, because when you cover a story like that for 3 days, you begin to palpitate at a moment like that. And as a parent, I was looking at the story through a parent's eyes by this time. Prince could be anyone's son or daughter. And when we launched Times Now, we had said, what should be the tagline of this channel? We said it should be Feel the News. And says, can you visualize? Can you visualize? So in a creative meeting with the ad agency, they said, visualize, visualize, visualize. What is the visualization of Feel the News? I said, I visualize. They said, what are you visualizing? I said, I'm visualizing slow motion Sachin Tendulkar getting his 100, going back to play, and in slow motion, he puts his bat down, he looks up, he says a prayer to his father, looks down again, and Lord's Stadium is full of an applause, and there's a heartbeat over it which goes dhak dhak, dhak dhak, dhak dhak. And over that, we'll layer the line, we'll say, Feel the News. They said, wonderful. But I'll tell you, that moment when Prince was brought out, covered, and we didn't know whether he's dead or alive, time froze for me. I was actually beginning to see things in slow motion. I could feel the heartbeat of the entire newsroom, and we waited. And when they came out and they said that Prince is alive, my entire newsroom started weeping. They just wept and wept and wept. Because for the first time in our entire careers, we had done what is, you would say, do or die moment in our profession. We'd never done do or die. We used to report. We used to go and say, Sir, आप क्या कहते हैं? Sir, आपको क्या कहना है? आप क्या feel करते हैं? For the first time we were saying, करो, निकालो, पूछो. Whole tone had changed. You were hammering people for the first time. The power equation had changed. The freedom had come in. And we felt that, see, we forced ourselves, we forced all these big shots to stand and save a landless laborer's child. We forced them. So yes, there was a sense of professional ego, but it wasn't ego. It was a battle for the truth. We'd been on the other side. We came into this profession seeing Chitra Subramaniam break Bofors. We were children. We thought, we'd do the big stuff. They hammered us for the first 10 years. And for the last few years, we're hammering them back. It's as simple as that. Journalism is simple. There are no two questions about it. And there are these moments which you experience, which tell you the truth. One day, there was another important character in our narrative in India. I don't know why he is. His name props up every now and then. His name is Sanjay Dutt. You know Sanjay Dutt? That's a fact, Sanjay Dutt was doing his usual trips from one jail to the other. And we were doing the usual coverage. Some things change in life. Some questions don't change. Such as the great question, how do you feel? So by that time, television had evolved. And I was in the ratings battle. Vasvi said, just go through my own experiences and tell you about my life story. By this time, I was in a ratings battle. I was under attack. The Lutyens media was attacking me back. And I was covering Sanjay Dutt because I thought Sanjay Dutt would get me terrific ratings. So we used to send these commando-type trapeze artists turned camera persons to cover Sanjay Dutt. They would get onto bikes. Gemini Circus would not be able to compete with them. They would do a reverse twist on the bike, get in front of the car with Sanjay Dutt, shoot him, side profile. And I remember I was in the PCR, production control room, and I get a call from my camera person saying, boss, mil gaya, mil gaya, mil gaya. I said, exclusive mil gaya. I said, kaise mila? Because when 100 cameras are behind, you can't get an exclusive. He said, mila hai. I said, kya mila? Was side profile mila, side se gaya, dono gaadi move kar rahi thi. Maine pucha. I said, kya pucha? He said, मैंने पूछा आप कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं? He said, मैंने बोला. He said, क्या बोला? बोले मेरे को विश्वास है क्या जुडिशरी पर, which is the standard reply from Salman to Sanjay. They all say the same thing. I said, oh man, that's great. But you know, these things matter because that same soundbite will be played 1,000 times. And this is what was happening in Indian television. By this time, I have gone down to 2007, 2007, which I call my year of growing up. I was covering Sanjay, and just one second. I was covering the Sanjay Dutt story, and I came back to the room, and there was a phone call. And there's a person who calls me, and he says that, is that Arnab? I said, yes. This person says that, I want to say something to you. I said, sir, who are you? He said, I'm so-and-so, I'm calling from Bangalore. I said, okay. He said, I've followed you for the last 10, 15 years, but I called you to say that after today, I will never watch you again. I'll never watch any channel again. And I was quite stunned because you receive a call like that. I said, why? He said, my best friend, Colonel Vasant Venugopal, at the age of 42, he martyred himself. He died fighting terrorists in Kupwara. His body came back today. He said there was not a single private TV channel there. And I felt very sad about it. I went back and found out that Vasant Venugopal from 5 Maratha Light Infantry had died in hand-to-hand combat, leading the soldiers. He killed 4 terrorists. He was covering fire for his Jawans, and he got killed in the gunfire that ensued. And we had not covered him. So I felt extremely embarrassed about it. Thank you. I felt very embarrassed about it. And I told my producer that night that I'll cover this story, I'll lead with this. And so it was 9 o'clock. I had called this guest in, this friend into the show. And just before we were about to go on air, 30 seconds before, so I asked my producer, is he ready? So my producer says, she is ready. So I said, she, but it was his friend who called me. The producer said that no, there's been a change of plans. We just got a call that Colonel Vasant Venugopal's wife wants to come on the program. I lapsed into, I didn't know what to do, because what do you ask a lady who's cremated her husband 5 hours back? Why has she come on your program? Is she going to shout at you? And if she shouts at you, you have every reason to be shouted at, because you were covering Sanjay Dutt in the morning. But why has she come? What am I going to ask? And what is she going to say? And I remember when Subhashini Vasant spoke, and she spoke for about 15 minutes. She was so graceful. She spoke about being a martyr's wife. She spoke about her children. She spoke about how proud she was that her husband had given up his life fighting for the country. And she spoke her heart out. I stood there and I just listened to her. And I asked myself, what on earth are you doing? In 2007, having launched Times Now for the first time, I realized that I was doing the one greatest thing wrong. I was chasing my personal dreams. I had forgotten what I was in 1998. In 1998, I wanted to do the journalism of impact. As a 25-year-old, I wanted to stand outside Parliament and I wanted to shake things up. In 2007, I was doing Sanjay Dutt. So something broke at that moment in 2007, and I have never looked back since. Since then, I only believe in asking the straight and simple question. About 1 month before 26/11 happened, there were 4 terrorists who had got in from the LOC from Jammu. They had entered into India, and they shot at the gate of an army camp. The army shot them back. They got flustered. They went into an auto rickshaw, and somewhere near Jammu, they went around and around in circles, and they suddenly entered a small colony where in an independent house, 2 mothers were teaching their 4 children. and they entered the house and they took these 4 children and 2 mothers as captive. This was a live television drama that was going on, and I had a Pakistani panelist, and he was going round and round and round and round in circles. And again I asked him, eventually when I ran out of questions, I asked him, but sir, tell me, is that person, is that Lashkar terrorist who's holding 6 people, 4 Indian children and 2 Indian women hostage, is that person a coward? And the person said, what kind of a question is that? I said, but is that person a coward? And he kept saying, what, is this the way to ask questions? I said, I don't know which is the way to ask questions, but I think this is the most apparent question which comes to my mind. I remember repeating the question 20 times till he did a walkout of my show, and I came out. And when I came out, people said, this is the first time you asked a question like it needs to be asked. I began to see the relevance of directness for the first time in my profession. Change does not happen unless you're as straightforward as you need to be. The lessons you learn are through your own experiences. When 26/11 happened, when the shots were fired for the first time, and I went in for 4 days when we covered, I did a 104-hour non-stop broadcast. And in the middle of that broadcast, on the second day, they took off our channel in Mumbai. They wanted to stop the coverage of 26/11. The power equations had changed. I called Anand Sharma and I just told him, put it back. Put it back, because if you don't put it back, Mr. Sharma, I'm going to go out there and use every available medium to say that I'm being censored. Within 15 minutes, we were put back. I began to feel the power equation change even more. I now wanted to push the boundaries. Each time you push the boundaries, a lesson comes up in your life, and you begin to learn that you can push it just a little bit more. And that's for journalism students, I'd say this, there is no end. You have to keep hitting. When I met Julian Assange, before he went to the Ecuador embassy, we met and we went through each other's stories, and I asked him at the end of it, Julian, do you have any message for me? And he said that at that time, Julian was fighting the CIA, fighting everyone. WikiLeaks had become big. He said to me, don't stop hitting, because the day you stop hitting, they're going to get you. That's one lesson that I can tell each one of you as well. Don't stop hitting in whatever you do, because the day you stop hitting in journalism, they're going to get you. In 2008, the greatest lesson in my life came on a morning when my son used to get up in the morning, and I don't know why 7-year-olds watch test matches. He used to watch a test match for 5 days. And he used to get up, it was happening in Australia. He would get up at 4:30 and watch a test match. It was insane. And one morning we were in Guwahati. I was about to take the flight to Mumbai. And my son got up, I was bleary-eyed, we were going to the airport. He said to me, Daddy, cheating. I said, what happened? He said, no, Daddy, Saurav Ganguly was batting. The ball went like this. That Steve Buckner coach, he's a cheat. It's cheating. Saurav is not out. And Saurav was a hero by then, because he'd taken off his shirt at Lord's and everybody loved him. Saurav getting out is a big deal. I said, okay. He said, you're not listening to me. I said, no, I'm listening to you. It's good. So he said, okay, put it on your news. So I said, what do you want me to put in the news? He said, you don't believe me, you ask him. And called my nephew also. And the nephew came up, he said, no, it was cheating. I saw the slow motion. You guys don't know. Nephew was old, you guys don't know how to cover sport. You should ask us youngsters, we know, and all that. So I said, yeah, it's all right, whatever. Then they went on and on and on. You know how kids are, no? Sometimes they don't let go. You're having conflicts. Daddy, cheating, I told you. You put it? Should I check? I said, I'll put. It became impossible. By the time we were in the car on the airport, it was unbearable. So, now, Daddy, do it now. It's cheating. I'll tell you this, that, whatever. They were like threats. So I call in front of me. So I called up, and I couldn't do a fake call. So I called up and I said, there's something has happened in the morning. He said, yeah, something. I said, say it's cheating with a question mark. Just put a question mark on it. He said, no, ask the people whether they think it's cheating. I said, okay, split the screen, ask the question. No, tell people to tweet. I said, what is Twitter? I didn't know Twitter then. Tell people to tweet, tell people to write, tell people to email. I said, okay, do all of that, just put a question mark and all that. And I took off from Guwahati. Guwahati to Mumbai, 3-hour flight. By the time I landed in Mumbai, I had 66 missed calls from the cricket board. Everybody had gone mad, including Rajiv Shukla. And he said, ये क्या कर दिया? ये तो होता नहीं है. I said, क्या किया? I had not even seen my channel. All I had come is under pressure from the kids. So I said, क्या किया? He said, no, ऐसे बात नहीं करते हैं. But I said, no, अभी देखता हूँ मैं. I went and wanted to do damage control, but by now the domino effect of television is such that every channel began to do the same thing. People had gone mad. This was the start of a series which was later known as Monkey Gate. You remember the Monkey Gate series? Because after that, everything was seen through stilted eyes. Bhaji goes out, racism. So everything was cheating. For 1 month, India discussed Monkey Gate. Why am I telling this in the context of a larger subject of news, the subject of social change? What I learned through the question of asking the Pakistani panelists, is this cowardice? And whether a child puts it straightforward way, cheating, is that the directness of the question is what the people want. People want you to speak like them. People don't want you to speak like